That dude right there is a legalist. Let me tell you what happened. So I've been going to this restaurant for 13 years, you know. And there's actually nobody in there today. So, you know, usually somebody's making your sandwich and somebody's at the register, you pay for it. The guy's just standing back there doing nothing, you know. So instead of me asking him to walk to the register, I just grab my chips and my drink, set them on the table. And then he shows up. He says, "You got to pay for it first." Now I'm sitting down. I'm getting ready to sit down. He's seen me in there 1,000 times. And I said, if you want to be a legalist, I can be one too. If you want to be legalistic, I can be that, like, to the hilt. I can point out how it's not clean, how this, and you don't have any tea, and you don't have this. I can be a legalist if you want me to. So you show people grace, and then they put you back under law. What do you mean? My food is on the table. I'm right here. There's no customers. I'm waiting on you to come to the register. And I told him, I said, nobody was at the register, so I was just getting prepared. Well, I was busy. No, you wasn't. You was just standing there twiddling your thumbs, being lazy. But I don't care what you do, because I'm not your boss. And even if I was your boss, I wouldn't be a legalistic boss. But it's because I know his boss, and they're not legalistic. I put my food on, in the mornings when I'm there by myself, I put my food on the table and they don't say nothing. Now, what's the deal with legalism? The reason people are legalists is because they're still in the flesh. They might be saved, but they're still in the flesh. They don't know what walking in the Spirit is. Most of them are not ever born again. They're under law. They're under the blue letter law sky, and everything they do is the flesh. And all they know is works, levels, ranks, grades, ratings, law. They're in the old economy. They're in the Old Testament. This is a dispensation of grace. God gave us grace. We give other people grace. The reason the legalistic churches, like the Baptist legalists, not all of them are, but most of them are, they set these rules. Well, you're not my boss. Who's holding you accountable? You don't do right. I know, because I've been to your house. I've seen the wine and the alcohol in the refrigerator. You're putting me under scrutiny, and you don't have anybody putting you under scrutiny? I don't think so. Let me hang out with you for a week and see who's more religious or more righteous or more walking in the Spirit. Let me hang out with you for a week, legalist, and I'll show you. You'll be wanting to fight me after a week, because everything that you say comes out of your mouth is legalism and hatred and unforgiveness and bitterness and everything else. And that's also narcissism. 90% of the people, if you hang out with them for a week, you realize they're all legalists. They're all religious. Most of them are lost, religious but lost. And most of them, all they care about is money and stuff and image and outward show. It's not about helping anybody, serving anybody. It's all about self. I know what I'm talking about, because I've been married twice and I've had in-laws and I've worked 120 jobs. And I didn't realize what I was running from. I was running from the legalist. And then when I finally woke up to what legalism was, I just stayed stable. Stayed at one place. Rideshare, just did rideshare for 10 years. And I know when a legalist gets in my car, and it used to be worse. Especially with Uber, it's worse. It's not so bad with Lyft, but Uber has a bunch of legalist ride passengers. They need your help as a ride, and then they try to find something wrong. Why are people always trying to find something wrong? You don't even have to try it. It shows itself within one conversation. It just appears. Well, You're what? That don't line up with Proverbs. That don't line up with Scripture. That don't line up with anything but lies. And then if you ever get close to one, let's say you get close to a legalistic woman. At first, it's all grace and love and happiness and building and helping and supporting and all. As soon as you tie in with one, the legalism shows up. Why didn't you do this? Why did you look at me wrong? What are you talking about? I didn't look at you anyway. My first wife said something like she was just a drama queen trying to create trouble so she could hide. Most people are hiding. They want you to enable their foolishness. They want you to enable their lies and their fake reality bubbles and their gaslighting. They want you to be their image. Seriously, I see it on jobs. I see it everywhere. They want somebody else. They got bad character, so they want to yoke up with you so that you can make them look better. And then when you call them out on their fake reality, the ex, she says, well, we're going to, I've talked about this too many times. I don't even want to talk about her anymore, but she's a perfect example of the legalistic, religious, but lost person. Telling everybody, well, we're going to do, what was the word she was looking? Recycling. Now, recycling's a scam from the get-go. We know that. That's a scam from the pit of hell. All you have to do is burn it. Burn it. It'll go back to the ground and it'll reproduce. Burn the trash. We're going to recycle. It costs more money to recycle than to burn it, because the fire burns itself, you know. Anyway, the fire sustains itself is what I meant to say. The fire will sustain itself. We're going to recycle. Okay. Oh, you want to recycle? All right, I'll let you do it. I'm not doing it, but go ahead and do it. I don't believe in it. And because I didn't do it, she didn't keep up with it. Well, can you take this out to recycle? Yeah, I'll take it out, but I don't support recycling because it's a big fat lie. It's just a religious virtue signal. I didn't know what virtue signaling was back then, but I knew. I didn't have a word for it, but I know what it is now. That's a great word. I learned that from Zeph Daniel. Virtue signaling. I'm going to virtue signal. And they do it with their clothes, they do it with their cars, they do it with their good works or good deeds, but all their works is just human effort, and it's not going to get them anywhere. If it's not Christ working through you, it's not going to get you anywhere. You're not going to get kudos in heaven. If you're saved, there are crowns. There's 5 crowns mentioned. But if I did a study on this, and I don't know what I did with the video, but all 5 of those crowns are because of Jesus. And all 5 of those crowns talk about faith. You're saved by faith, you walk by faith. So those crowns, those 5 crowns that the saints throw down at the foot of Jesus, it's all by faith. Everything's by faith. That tells you right there this is a hologram. If everything's by faith you can take this mountain and throw it in the sea. What's he talking about? Let's say you have a debt you want to pay off. Lord, I want to pay this debt off. Please help me. And by faith, you pay it off. Lord, I have a health issue. Can you solve it? Help me find the answer. And then all of a sudden, Dr. Berg shows up on YouTube and gives you all the answers you need to get healthy. Keto diet and all that stuff. Look at this car behind me. Tailgater. Legalist everywhere you go. And the reason they're legalists is because they never received the grace of God, so they can't give anybody else grace. They're under law, so all they know is law, so they project onto you what they're projecting onto themselves. And so they were raised by legalistic parents under law, and so that's all they know. And the music, the TV, the media, the news, the RS, it's all law. Now the flesh creature needs law. The flesh creature needs law. The flesh creature needs law. The letter killeth. The flesh has to die. Die daily. The flesh is nothing but sin. If you committed one sin, you committed them all. The Bible is very clear that. You break one of the 10 commandments, you've broken them all. And so all these flesh creatures, and all these, like if I go in here to this Home Depot, usually the manager is not a graceful manager. Usually they're legalistic managers, but hopefully this one has one. Home Depot seems to be pretty good about their management style, you know. They seem to let the people have some grace, you know. But the reason they can't step out of legalism and show some grace is because they never received grace from God, and they don't know what it means. They think of God as some judge with the law to punish them. And if they rejected Jesus, that is. Notice how the Christians see God as a loving God. The unsaved see God as some kind of judge. Yeah, because the great white throne judgment is where they're going. And they're already there. I gotta say, there's no space and time. They're already under judgment. And the ones who are not saved can't even hear what I'm saying. The ones who have not really meditated on any truth, they can't even hear what I'm saying right now. And that's why they're legalists, because they haven't educated themselves and done any inner work and inner renewal. And so they're nothing but legalists. All they know is legalism. The whole world is legalistic. Back to the relationship thing. So if you date somebody and you show her grace and give her some grace, and then all of a sudden she's trying to put you back under legalism and not give you any grace, that tells you it's a one-sided spiritual arrangement. And no matter what they said about being saved, you run away because they don't know how to give grace to anybody. They're like a fisherman reeling you in to put you back under legalism. That's the Queen Bee Jezebel system. And it's all outward show, image. A legalist is outward show. This windshield's got to be perfectly wiped down. This has to be perfectly polished with whatever. They live in a continual. Their house has to be perfect. They live in a continual legalistic mindset where everything has to be perfect. And if you're running a business, I understand you got to have everything in place. But I'm talking even in their personal life, everything has to be perfect, perfectly placed. You waste more time placing this in, instead of opening up that Bible and praying and just sitting down on the couch and just meditating and saying, Lord, what am I missing? Instead of spending time in God's word and meditation or some good sermons, they're just worried about stuff. They're moving stuff around. Do you realize that's all you're doing? You're moving stuff around. You're moving this car around. You're moving your money around. You're moving your body around. All the 3D is just moving stuff around. Why not just slow down and just stop and just be? They're always moving. You're moving your phone around. You're plugging. You're moving currency around. Current. The charging your battery. The current's flowing. Everything's just movement. Stop. Just be. See, if you're so busy moving in the 3D, there's no movement in the 5D. So if you just sit still, just sit here. Be still and know that I am, the Bible says. So you just sit here. And you watch everybody else moving, the birds, the trees, the wind, the cars, the people. And you just sit here. Then you start to pay attention to your thoughts. You pay attention to what you said yesterday. Just be. They can't do it. This year, I noticed that in a situation, and I said, just pull over here and let's just sit here in the parking lot for a second. That was so foreign to her mindset. Just pull over in the parking lot, just sit there and talk. That was such a foreign experience. It should be everybody's experience. You can just sit around and just be still. Be still and know that I am. But most people have to be doing something. They're always moving the stuff around. Moving this. They can't just be still. Because it don't make sense to them, because they're only focused on the 3D, not the spiritual. It's crazy. It's insane. And so if all you know is the 3D, you're a legalist. Rules, works, levels, ranks, grades, ratings, image, outward show, people pleasing, lovers of pleasure instead of lovers of God. It's all about stuff and money and something happening down here in the 3D. Well, just sit still. Do it for 7 days. Don't do nothing. Go home after work. Get your clothes ready. Okay. Get everything ready for 7 days. And just go home and just sit. After work, just sit there for 7 days. And you tell me what happens. Ask God to open your eyes. And you might have an experience. It might take 6 months for it to happen. But you might have an experience like me. When I sat still, I said, I ain't doing nothing until I get an answer, Lord. What is going on with this place? And I had to sit there for 6 months. It was 8 months. And the Shekinah glory showed up, and I got downloaded what this place is. I wanted an answer. So I can see 666 on everything. There's the winged disc of Babylon, but I also can see the blood of his cross everywhere. I can see the red versus blue right here. Hot and cold, hot and cold. Isn't that what a Jezebel does? She plays the hot and cold game. The narcissist plays the hot and cold game to kind of destroy your ship. I could see the game. I can see the 3D, but I also can see the 5D. See those parking signs? What is that? Why is that there? It's a law. The letter. That parking space is no different than this one. What if I go over there and park? I might not have a handicap sticker, but what if I hurt my leg and I have a hard time walking or something? What if I broke my foot and I have a cast on and I park there? The letter killeth. The letter don't care that you got a broke foot. You don't have one of those signs that say you're handicapped. It's all letter. The letter killeth. But the Spirit gives life. If it was a graceful person or a graceful policeman, the police have no grace. They'd say, okay, I know what you're saying. How long are you going to be in there? Just about 10 minutes. Okay, you're all right. But they don't show grace because they're under law. All they know is legalism and law and rules and the letter. The letter killeth, but the Spirit gives life. You know, if somebody dies in their family or somebody gets in something, and somebody says, I gotta have a drink to bear this. Who's going to put that person under legalism? Nobody. But if they become an alcoholic and they're drinking every day for no reason, because just a normal life, then you have to say, wait a minute, you need some counseling. You need to stop. You need to quit drinking. You're using that as a crutch. Instead of running to God, you're using the beer or the wine or the liquor as a crutch. That's your God, you know. Anyway, if you don't know what dispensation you're in, you're under law. If the priesthood has changed, therefore, it's a necessity that the law changes. If we move from the order, the Aaronic priesthood to the Melchizedek priesthood. Then we move from law to grace. And so we're after the order of Melchizedek now, the priesthood of Melchizedek, not under law. This is why all these nations in the East are having trouble. This is the reason that USA is higher, is because we're living in the truth, grace. As long as you live in the dispensation of grace, you're going to outshine everybody. And they hate you for your freedom. Hello? I hope you listen to the end, because what I just said is very important.